positions, do you have a preference as far as, being a left back, being a left center back? Does it matter to you?
Well, number one, I like being on the field, but I like different things about each of the positions. In particular, with left back in this team, I like how high we get to play and how much we get to attack. So, slight preference to left back, but the way the left center back plays in this team in the hybrid role, I also like certain things about that too.
There have been a lot of changes along the back four. Obviously, there have been 4 different defensive midfielders. How unusual is that, and how difficult is that to respond to the people around you constantly changing?
I think over the course of the season, it's pretty normal. I think we went through a stretch where there were some injuries, and then there were suspensions through yellow cards, and it got a little bit crazy where it was changing. The center back pairing was changing every game, and that is not super normal, but I think, everybody getting a chance during the season, I think that's, pretty standard, and we're at the midway kind of point of the season, and so there's a lot going on, different games, and so I think it's pretty normal that different people are getting opportunities.
Pablo was just talking to us about calling the 18-yard box the millionaire zone and getting more bodies in there. Obviously, as a left back, you need to do that. And as a left center back, you can score like you did in San Diego, I guess. How much are you hearing that message from him and the coaching staff?
Yeah, I think, what we've talked about a lot this season is that we've been good in between the boxes, but we just need to sharpen up in the boxes. And part of that is just adding numbers into the box and making sure that we're giving ourselves the best chance to score goals and then to counter press and then, create more chances. So definitely something that we're focusing on this week.
Notably, only 1 set-piece goal this year on a free kick. Nothing off of a corner yet. How much do you guys talk about that and changing that and getting a set-piece goal this week?
Yeah, we've been focusing on it. That's something that we spoke about leading up to the goal that we scored. It's definitely still a focus. We feel like, there's more to be had with set pieces, and we can be more dangerous. And I think that we have what it takes to score more. And I think part of it is just mentality. It's not changing who's in the box or whatever it may be, service, but just having that mentality to think of it as a scoring opportunity.
What challenges does St. Louis present this weekend?
I think it's one of those games where both teams are hungry, both teams need the win. They've gone through some changes over the course of the season, and the way they play has slightly changed. They have some dangerous players that, especially offensively, that I think have kind of come to life more recently. So that's something to be aware of.
Okay. I know the answer is going to be one game at a time, but you've got 4 out of the next 5 at home in the month of July, right in the middle of the season. It could be a fortune-changing month for the club. How do you take advantage of that and just kind of focus?
One way we're thinking about this last part of the season is that we need to win our home games, and if we win our home games, then we put ourselves in a great spot to make playoffs. So this stretch is especially important for us. Home games are always important, but I think being in the situation that we're in, we really want to take advantage of them.
And played well defensively. Only given up 26 goals for the season, which I think is top 10 in the league. Mm-hmm. But bottom way down, 19 goals scored. How does the club as a group kind of take on the opportunity or the challenge of scoring more goals?
I think that it comes down to not just the attacking players, but, as a unit, looking at what each of us can do to be better. And the focus today was counter-pressing and being in a position behind the ball to win the ball back and to sustain attacks. And so I think, going into the next game, that's our focus, to be able to sustain the attack and to create more chances out of each possession.
You guys have players like Diego, in Gold Cup, and then Ameka and Ojeda not in there. But other players have stepped out to play. What's the mentality in the team right now for everyone just to be ready to take on the challenge like that?
It's just a next man up mentality, and I think that in the beginning of the season, it was maybe a little bit tough for some of the guys who weren't playing as much, and now those guys are getting opportunities and taking advantage of it and doing well for us. So, I think we are, in a good position even without them, and we'll be even better when they come back, and we can't wait.
The team is 7 points away from a playoff spot. Obviously, Pablo talked about just taking one game at a time, but you guys as a group talk about numbers and stuff like that and be like, okay, we tied this game and then we go and win this game? Or is that just kind of what Pablo says goes one game at a time?
I think the natural tendency is you start talking about those things and kind of get into the weeds. I think, to kind of counter that, it's important to kind of come back to one game at a time, because I think if you lose sight of it, then it all becomes a mess. And so, yeah, we do talk about it a little bit, but we try not to get ahead of ourselves.
And my last question is, you have settled in pretty well. 100 minutes, maybe at the beginning it was a little slow, but you have proved yourself to be a key player in this team, especially playing the positions that you have been playing. What kind of you told yourself mentally to earn those spots, and what has changed, if anything has changed for you specifically to be a starter in this team?
Yeah, I think, it comes down to I always have the mentality that I believe I can be a starter, and that, that's something that, I can work towards, and even when I'm not. And I think that I count on myself to be able to be a starter, and not just left back, but at left center back and in different positions. And so, I think self-belief is a big part of it. And then I think when you believe in it, you kind of carry yourself in a different way, and kind of you act as if you would if you were a starter, and it kind of all stems from there.
What do you think of Diego celebrating the goal?
He was stoked. Yeah, you could tell it meant a lot, and we're really happy for him that he finally got the goal after getting a couple of assists so far.